Today is Wednesday, July 15th. This is a pre-market review. We will, of course, talk about Moderna and the Moderna vaccine news because, as you can see, the futures popped after yesterday's announcement from Moderna that their vaccine is working in creating antibodies in the patients they're testing on. However, there are a lot of reasons to be very skeptical about this company and the vaccine they're producing. I will show you here in details how shady this company is in terms of its history and its connections to the administration and how they're benefiting from creating this quote-unquote vaccine. Who is the CEO of Moderna, Stéphane Bancel? There was an expose published a few years ago by Stat News exposing the impulsive, egotistic personality leading a very shady and secretive company called Moderna. Interviews done at the time of publishing this article with employees, current and former, saying that progress was hampered at Moderna because of the CEO's ego, his need to assert control, and his impatience with the setbacks are an inevitable part of science. Continuing, as he pursued a complex and risky strategy for drug development, Bancel built a culture of recrimination at Moderna. Former employees said failed experiments have been met with reprimands and even on-the-spot firing. This is the culture that Moderna and this COO is leading. This is just a little taste of what to come. They recalled abusive emails, dressing down at company meetings, exceedingly long hours, and unexplained terminations. If you don't agree with his ego, if you don't agree with the way he's leading the company, if you question anything about the science, you're out. This is Moderna. Here is the culture that is producing insane amount of turnover among employees and executives. At least a dozen highly placed executives have quit in the last few years, including heads of finance, technology, manufacturing, and science. In just the past 12 months, respected leaders of Moderna's cancer and rare disease programs both resigned. And what is Stéphane Bancel, the CEO of Moderna's response? Here it is. You want to be the guy who's going to fail them? I don't, he said in an interview from his glassy third-floor office. So was it an intense place? It was. And do I feel sorry about it? No. There is nothing wrong about having a personality like this as a CEO. Many CEOs have this kind of personality. But this guy's shadiness and motivation by money and ego becomes clearer and clearer the more you read about him. Here is the part about the company's secrecy. The company has published no data supporting its vaunted technology, and it is so secretive that some job candidates have to sign non-disclosure agreements before they come in to interview. Outside venture capitalists said Moderna has so many investors clamoring to get in that it can afford to turn away any who ask too many questions. The company is run unlike any biotech company. In fact, here's a quote from a former scientist in Moderna. It is a case of the emperor's new clothes. They are running an investment firm, and then hopefully it also develops a drug that is successful. Under Bancel, Moderna has been loath to publish its work in Science or Nature, but enthusiastic to herald its potential on CNBC and CNN, taking parts in segments on the world's most disruptive companies and the potential cure for cancer. Again, who is this CEO who's trying to disrupt the entire industry, who's claiming that now he's so close in creating a vaccine for the coronavirus? What is his experience and motive in creating Moderna? Bancel, 44, had no experience running a drug development operation. When one of biotech's most successful venture capitalists tapped him to lead Moderna, he spent most of his career in sales and operations, not science. This is again beginning to look like an investment firm, a scheme to make money fast. Its concentration and its focus on raising money, not creating actual drugs, selling you a hope and a dream. Here is another taste of what this CEO actually like. Continuing. Despite having never worked with RNA before, Bensel said he sat around the table with his core team in the early days of the company, dreaming up experiments. As a result, he is listed as co-inventor on more than 100 of Moderna's early patent applications. Unusual for a CEO who is not a PhD scientist. You see the ego, you see the mania in this guy's personality. He's, of course, a former salesman, and you're going to see in a second how he's conning the White House for taxpayer money to create his so-called vaccine. Here's a little shade on his salesman ability. Bensel lays out those grand ambitions in an accent that bends his own company's name into something more akin to Italian city. In conversation, Bensel has salesman's skill of making complex concepts seem simple, but with an earnestness that keeps his style from feeling like a con. He peppers his speech with Silicon Valley buzzwords, many of which are scrawled on a giant whiteboard in his spacious office. Messenger RNA is like a software, quote unquote, he explained. If it works in one disease, it should work for thousands. Of course, many scientists left this company. They couldn't handle the culture, they couldn't handle the lies, they couldn't handle the fraud-like schemes in this company. Here's a quote about a scientist that left the company. No scientist in his right mind would leave that job unless there was something wrong with the science or the personnel. This is about a highly respected scientist who resigned from the company. And here is an excellent quote by Derek Lowe, a biotech blogger. You wonder, if Moderna really is a rocket ship getting ready to launch and spray a formation of new drugs across the sky, then why are these people leaving? Referring, of course, to the scientists and the employees of Moderna. And this is really a good question, because why did Moderna executives sell their stock immediately after the pop when they announced the first success of the trial? In fact, Moderna is under SEC investigation for selling their stocks after the news came out. They made millions after the vaccine announcement, and they're cashed out immediately. We will see when the market opens today if they're going to start selling their stocks. Why are they jumping the ship? If this is the company that's going to produce the vaccine, and if this is the company that will change and transform and disrupt the entire biotech industry, why are they cashing out so fast? This man, Stefan Bensel, is an opportunist. Listen to this interview in the Robertstein show where he explains how he immediately, the moment his eyes laid a look on the situation in China of the mysterious illness and disease, he immediately started setting up shop to develop a quote-unquote treatment for this disease without even knowing anything about it. He immediately jumped into action, seeing an opportunity to cash in.
All right, so I read that you were sitting in a beach in France and you read about this problem in China, and all of a sudden you said, this is something I need to work on. Is that more or less fair or accurate?
Yes, I was not on the beach because it was early January, but I was by the sea, yes. Okay. So I was having breakfast. I was reading like every morning the Wall Street Journal on my iPad. And I saw this article in the first days of January about this new respiratory disease in China. And because I've been working in infectious disease for 25 years, all my life, and because we have been partnering with NIAID, the division of NIH that Dr. Tony Fauci is leading, I basically sent an email to the NIAID team and say, do you know what this is? Is it even a bacteria or a virus? We didn't know at the time. And every day we learned more about it. And around January 10, the sequence of a new coronavirus was put online. And from that point on, we decided to just raise this virus and get it to the clinic with a vaccine against it.
In March, Donald Trump, the President of the United States, had many pharma and biotech executives in the White House to discuss the development of a vaccine. His question was the most important question: what is your timing here? And you know who raised his hand and gave him the shortest time? Stéphane Bancel, the CEO of Moderna. Here is where the scam gets a little deeper. Who is the vaccine czar in the White House who was appointed back in March? It's a man called Moncef Slaoui. Who is Moncef Slaoui? Well, when you dig, you found out that he's a former board member of Moderna and a personal friend of Stéphane Bancel. After the first vaccine announcement, when Moderna executives started dumping stock and cashing in, guess who started dumping his stocks and cashed in the same scam? Moncef Slaoui, the White House vaccine czar. He was shamed about it, and he was forced to divest 12.4 million of his Moderna holdings. He got to keep the profits he cashed in. And here is the result of all of this scam. Moderna stock soars after getting $483 million in federal funding for corona vaccine development. It's all connected. They're all in the same scam. They find an opportunity. They send a board member of the White House who becomes a vaccine czar, who recommends Moderna to get money from federal funding to develop the so-called vaccine. And hey, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who cares? They got the money. They popped their stock value to crazy, insane amounts. They cashed in. They became richer, billionaires in the process. This is how it works. And by the way, is this mRNA vaccine treatment promising? Is there anything that we can take seriously from this so-called experiment that produced antibodies? Not at all. I am not going to explain that to you. I will play this video from PBS where scientists explain the problems with mRNA vaccines and treatments.
There's a new game in town that allows for even faster turnaround in developing and testing and then deploying vaccines, and it's called an RNA vaccine. RNA, which is a kind of ancient cousin of DNA. RNA molecules are the scripts that viruses use and that our human bodies also use to make proteins.
The coronavirus's RNA codes for at least 24 proteins, including its spike protein, which covers the exterior.
It's the protein that makes the coronaviruses have the crown appearance that they're named after.
SARS-CoV-2 uses this protein to bind to and enter our cells, where it then injects its RNA, hijacking those cells to make lots more virus.
It's almost like a skeleton key for a lock, opening a portal within human cells that the virus can slip in.
So if we can block that process, if you can neutralize the virus before it enters the cell, that will probably be the Achilles heel that we need to target.
We can tell our body, hey, if you see anything with that kind of a skeleton key shape, then just destroy it.
This is where an RNA vaccine comes in, which becomes possible when you have the virus's genetic sequence and you know which genes code for which proteins.
So the concept of an RNA vaccine is, let's inject the RNA molecule that encodes for the spike protein.
It's making your cell do the work of creating this viral protein that is going to be recognized by your immune system and trigger the development of these antibodies.
Our bodies won't make a full-fledged infectious virus, they'll just make a little piece and then learn to recognize it and then get ready to destroy the virus if it then later comes and invades us.
The advantage of the RNA vaccine is that it can be produced within a matter of days. So these types of vaccines are much faster to generate.
Much faster than it takes, for example, to even prepare a flu shot for the seasonal flu strain. But on the other hand, it's a relatively new, unproven technology. And there's still no example of an RNA vaccine that's been deployed worldwide in the way that we need for the coronavirus.
There's the possibility for unforeseen adverse effects.
So this is all new territory. Whether it would elicit protective immune response against this virus is just unknown right now.
In addition, RNA molecules have a weakness.
Here's the dirty secret. They are ephemeral. They're like the Snapchat of molecules. Our bodies make an RNA script and destroy it a few minutes later once they've used it as a little temporary instruction manual to make proteins. And so here's the issue. If we make a bunch of these RNA vaccines and keep them in the fridge, if you wait a couple of days, they're no longer good vaccines. Their expiration date is like a couple of days after you make them. And they have to be kept at a temperature of minus 80 degrees Celsius, which is super cold. This is a big deal breaker. We'll have to find a way to stabilize the RNA so they're refrigerator safe. And no one has quite figured out how to do that. And that is actually the problem that I'm involved in.
So here we go. We're pumping the market on hopes and dreams of a so-called vaccine treatment that is not proven at all. Moderna released the information yesterday that their treatment, their vaccine, successful in producing antibodies. What they forgot to tell you, how long these antibodies will last. Because we have a study from the United Kingdom yesterday that showed that the antibodies last for only a few months before they disappear. They're also not allowing any peer review, any independent review and look thoroughly into the data of this study. Moderna is very secretive, yet the market takes it and the futures in the market pop. This is how it works. Don't we deserve to see the details of the study, to have independent, peer-reviewed scientists looking at it and judging the credibility of these results, since we are funding this treatment of Moderna? And by the way, the vaccine headlines pumps been going on even before the coronavirus crisis hit the markets here in the US. Here's a reminder for you. A headline from February 5th and a headline from February 4th. Before all the crash happened, global stocks and oil prices rally on coronavirus drug hopes. Here's from the same article. Early Wednesday, Sky News reported a significant breakthrough by scientists at Imperial College London in the UK, who claim to have reduced a stage of the development time for a coronavirus vaccine from 2 to 3 years to just 14 days. This article was published on February 5th. We are well past 14 days now. Where is this treatment? This is all garbage. They use the vaccine headlines to pump and dump the market. It's the same thing. Lather, rinse, repeat. And when the pop from this vaccine headline fades, they'll find another headline, vaccine headline, to pump the market with, and it goes on and on and on. If you found the information presented in this video helpful, please subscribe, press the like button, the notification button, and follow me on social media.